Hello and welcome back to the Phil Gadd Podcast, where I delve into the minds of entrepreneurs and growth mindsetters and learn how they achieve their starts, overcome some obstacles and develop their own success and growth. By listening to my podcast, you can implement these strategies you learn and start shaping your own growth mindset and entrepreneurial journey. Get my words out. It can be that simple. Today, I'm joined by a friend and fellow honey badger, Mr. Pierre Nadeau. Pierre is one of the top 1% real estate agents in Canada, with over 1 billion in sales in the last 20 years, selling over 5,000 properties, and he's growing his team, his organization, to almost 500 agents. So welcome, Pierre.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it. It's always fun hanging out with Phil.
Yeah, yeah, and Pierre, you're probably one of the biggest reasons why I'm actually at EXP. If you hadn't reached out to your friend Todd, we might not be sat here chatting about how you've become so successful.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's nice to be able to meet. I had a great conversation with somebody last night, and they said, how are you enjoying, your journey at EXP? And I said, well, listen, I get to meet all kinds of really cool people from all over the world, and we get to hang out with some really friendly people, and you're one of them, right? We got to know each other pretty good last year in Vegas, I believe it was, and so that was a lot of fun. And now here we are helping each other grow each other's business, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just if you let the listeners know, rewind sort of 20 years, what was it that made you go to real estate?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. So I was always in sales, probably since the age of 14. I was in sales, and I just kept going to different jobs in sales, and obviously I was motivated by money at the time, and I was always trying to pick the better job. And anyways, I decided to do real estate part-time. And
Okay.
I had a great sales job. I had a pension. I had company car, making a six-figure income, but it was boring and it was awful and I hated it. And I just didn't see myself doing it forever. So I decided to do real estate part-time. And then things got carried away. And I remember after the first year, I made more money part-time than I did full-time. And I said to my wife, I think we should make the move and do this full time. And she's like, absolutely not. Don't give up the security of the paycheck, right? And I said, well, I see bigger things. So I decided to, eventually we made the move about 6 months later. And so it's been fun.
So where did you, when you first came, where did you go? What was your brokerage at the time?
Well, you know what? I did not do my due diligence. I did not look around. I did not interview 3 or 4 people. I went to one place that I knew one guy who happened to be my agent. And he's like, oh, yeah, this is going to be awesome, right? And it was at Sutton Group. And I went there. And I remember after I started, the agent said to me, he goes, I just realized something. You're going to take a lot of my clients because we all know the same people. So I didn't get a ton of help, needless to say. So I lasted there about a year, and then somebody basically sold me on the idea of I needed a brand, right? I needed the big brand. So I went to Royal LePage and found out that it was pretty much the exact same, except way more money. So I did that, for 7 years. I had a good run, built a team. And then after 7 years of paying them all kinds of money every year, I decided to open my own brokerage. I looked at a few options. I originally was going to open a Keller Williams, and then that just didn't work out. As far as the numbers went, I was making more money with a 6-person team than I would with 75 agents there. So I said, that I love their model and I love their systems and I love their training, but it just didn't financially make sense. So we opened our independent brokerage, did that for 9.5 years. And then I get a call from my buddy Andre, and asked me if I'd ever heard of EXP. And I said, well, I've heard of it. I don't know anything about it. So then he's like, well, you need to do me a favor. I need you to check it out and poke some holes in it. And so we did. And then, that was 3 years ago. And now it's been quite a journey ever since.
No, definitely. It is, it's for me, it's been sort of a game changer, really. But someone like yourself, obviously, you've had a pretty sort of entrepreneurial growth mindset all the way through. Is that kind of why you went to your sort of own brokerage?
Yeah, you know what? I just I guess I felt there was a better way. I'm always looking for a better way to make things, easier and more profitable. And so I think going to my own brokerage was a great move at the time. And I was paying almost $100,000 a year at my old brokerage to be there, and I wasn't getting anything, right. And the big thing is, I don't mind paying if I'm getting value, but if I'm not getting any value, then there's just no point, right. So owning my own brokerage was fun. It was great. It was better than what I was doing. But it also had its headaches, right. It also had a ton of headaches, right. So a lot of babysitting, a lot of liability issues, a lot of dealing with court issues and different things, because the agents, if something went wrong, I was the broker of record. So, and I think what happened was it really took away from the profit that we were making, because I was no longer selling as much and I was dealing with other things. So basically the profits went way down, and, there was a lot of overhead, right? There was a lot of expenses, and, but it was mine. And at the end of the day, it was mine. Now, the bad side to that is, at the end of the day, I didn't have a whole lot to sell if I wasn't in the business, right?
Yeah.
Because 40% of the volume was being done by me, and if I leave that equation, there's no profit. so so that's why when we looked at EXP, it just made a lot more sense, because now they were going to look after all of the liabilities, the headaches, the broker of record question, the coaching, the training, all the stuff that goes on. I no longer had to worry about that. And now I could focus on money making activities, right? We always talk
Mm.
about, you got to be doing A or B activities, and delegate the C and D activities. Well, now I was able to work on developments. I was able to work on new construction. I was able to work on, bringing in, new partners and stuff, right? Because those were money making activities. So I tell the story all the time that, the last 3 years, I've 5x my profit, not my business, but my profit, right?
Mm.
Compared to where I was before. And it's because of the model that I'm using now, as opposed to what I was using before. And the model I was using before is obviously quite broken, right? The team model and
Yeah.
the independent brokerage model is definitely broken, right? So when we saw this, again, it was another opportunity, right? My wife said, "Why are we doing this? Why are you going to go? Why, we're already doing okay." And I'm like, "Well, okay is not good enough for me, right? I mean, I always want to try to do better." And I said, "This is better. This is a better model. It's not only better for us, it's better for all of our agents." And now we've proven that, because our agents are doing very well, right?
Yeah.
The ones that are implementing the systems and using the tools that they get, they're doing extremely well. So that really, it just gave me the right vehicle to get to where we wanted to go to, and get there a lot quicker, obviously.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's cool. And I just want to rewind, because I remember just chatting with Andre recently. He was sort of recalling when he first contacted you, and I think he said one of the things Pierre said. Well, why would I go to a new brokerage? I just spent 10 grand on a new sign for my
Yeah.
current one. Um, so so what was it that you actually like shifted your mindset to? Obviously, you probably did a whole bunch of due diligence, but what was
Yeah.
it? What was it? Is there one thing that was like, okay, we gotta do this. This is
Yeah. You know what? This is what happened. I thought I was doing okay. Like, I really did. I thought, this is it. I've made it, right? I'm doing pretty good. But then I started getting complacent, right? And you start getting comfortable. And when that happens, that scares me a bit, right? So, and then Andre was very smart. He put me around Jay Kinder and Al Stasek and John Kitchens, and he put me around all these, people that had done what I had done. And now I could see what they were doing now compared. Like, they all had their own brokerages, and I just saw the lifestyle change that they had by using EXP as their model to grow. And I'll tell you, once I saw that, I said, I didn't think I had problems until I realized that there is a better way. And then I was like, yeah, now I have a lot of problems, right? There are issues, right? There's definitely issues, but I think sometimes we get into that mode of, oh, I don't know, not fake it till you make it, but almost like, imposter mode. Like, you don't think you have an issue. But then as soon as somebody brings it up, you go, yeah, man, I don't like working 80 hours a week. No, I don't have any residual income. Yeah, that's right. I can't sell my company. And when they brought up all those points, it was like, okay, we have to do something, or else we're going to be, I'm going to be working until I'm 90. Right. There was no exit strategy. And when I saw this, I was 49.
Yeah.
And, exit strategy is definitely something you start to think about, right?
Sure.
What am I going to do? Am I still going to be showing houses when I'm 75 years old? And I didn't want to be that guy, right? And there was no security there either. So if something happened to me when I had my own business, we were done. Like, we were done, right? Because
Yeah.
I mean, if I died, the insurance would be great for my family. But if I had a stroke, or if I had, if I was sick for a long period of time, we'd be in big trouble, because there goes the majority of the income, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now, with the model that I'm using now, I don't have that stress anymore. I don't have to work as much. So I guess, the EXP model is not for everybody, but it's for those that are seeking maybe a better way and a better opportunity to grow their business, faster, and create that residual income for the future as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's really interesting because, people don't go searching for solutions until they know they have a problem. So,
Yeah.
yeah, Andre was pretty smart there, kind of to show
Yeah.
you that you had multiple problems and you didn't realize.
And it was, right, because Andre did not have the same situation as me, right? He was
Yeah.
not in the same boat as I was, so I wouldn't have related to him as much if he would have just left it, to him and I.
Yeah.
But then he knew that Al Stasic had his own brokerage, so he put me in front of him, and then it was game over after that, right? Just because, they knew what I had gone through, they knew where I was, and they knew the pains that, that I was having. And it's the same conversations I have with brokerages now. Is, yeah, I know what you're going through, right? We just brought over a huge Remax team from Quebec this week, and we were having a conversation last night, and it's there are pain points, right? Even though from the outside everything looks fantastic, on the inside, you're burnt out, you're exhausted, you're working 80, 90 hours a week, you don't see your family, you don't see your kids, your health is going down the tubes because you're not taking the time to go to the gym. And so this is it's kind of life-changing for a lot of people.
It is. It's for sure. And I think on all levels as well, I'm not sort of where you guys are yet, but just coming over to XP, the multiple streams of income that you get just from being an agent, and I'm growing my team slowly,
Yeah.
but it's good. So one question I ask everyone, and you might have a couple of answers for this. So if you could have defined success 3 years ago, would it be different for your definition of success now?
100%. Yeah, 100%. Because 3 years ago, I thought I was successful, and then I get into a room. I remember the first mastermind group I went to, and I get into a room, and at the time, I think I was doing maybe 300 deals a year, 350, whatever, and with our team, and I thought we were doing okay. And then I get into this room, and there's people like Kyle Whistle, and they're doing like 700 deals a year, and then there's somebody doing 1,200 deals a year. I mean, I'm broke, man. I'm sitting in the corner. It was very humbling. Right. It was a very humbling experience. And I sat there, and I just went, wow, this is what I've just decided to surround myself with. And that just elevated my game, because the problem with owning your own brokerage is that you're a loner. There's nobody helping you, because you can't go to other owners and say, hey, what are you doing? And then how are you doing this? And so you had to figure it out on your own. So I was very dependent on coaches, and I had a lot of good coaches in my career. And I attribute the success that we had to those coaches, right? But
Okay.
this is the cool thing, is I completely got out of paying for coaching 3 years ago when I joined DXP, and I decided to just use the coaching that we have. And my business is 5x, and I haven't paid a dime for coaching. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it is. I think, when I talk to people about EXP, that's one of the biggest things that they're kind of surprised about. And it's really, I find it sometimes difficult to explain the culture of this company and how it's very collaborative, because people just are coming from a place where it's not.
Well, it's very cutthroat where you go somewhere else, right? And
Mm.
it's even funny because sometimes we get people saying, "Why is everybody being so nice? Why is everybody, everybody's trying to help me?" And I'm like, "Well, that's because it's a different culture, right? And it's just, we're all financially aligned to help people grow, and we want the company to grow, whether you're in our organization or not." Like I was in Dallas a couple of weeks ago and networking with other guys that are not in our organization, but we're going to do some stuff together to help the company grow. Because if the company grows, their stocks go up, everybody's happy, and that's the culture that they want us to have. And it's quite different, and it's refreshing, and it's nice, and it's fun. It's fun again,
Mm.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
Bring
no, it is.
real estate fun again. Well, we are. This is, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, yeah, and the annual event. Yeah, I saw Dallas. That looked like a good place to
Yeah.
be.
The speakers were unreal. I mean, the people that they put up on that stage, and this isn't just about EXP, right? This is
Mm,
about, what was on that stage. They talked about health. They talked about mindset. They talked about, I mean, obviously they had Tony Robbins there, right? So that was all about your mindset and everything else. But they also, it just teaches you a lot of different things about how to be healthy and how to, keep your mind clear and have a balance in your life and not just work, work, work all the time, right?
mm.
So, people think we're going to go to these events and just learn about real estate. You're learning about just being a good person and giving back to the community and helping, right? You see all the stuff that, some of these guys are doing. They're donating so much of their time and money back into, charities and things that so those are all things that we learn by example, right? So and you know what? That's just our model. That's EXP, right? So
Yeah.
this isn't an EXP commercial by any means, but you're asking me about my success and why it has skyrocketed, and it's just because of what we're doing with this model.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's interesting you say that. I just, aimlessly scrolling through Instagram, which I probably should do less of, but I came across Jesse Itzler. Itzler, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's spoken at a couple of events that I've been
Yep.
to in the past. But he was
Yep.
talking about, how do you define success? And he said it's just not one bucket. It's not just how much money you make. It's being a good dad. It's being a good father. It's being a good husband. It's being healthy. It's different buckets. And I kind of, yeah, and I agree. I think, that's one of the things, I'm more healthier now being at EXP, and I look at filling all them buckets, not just, the wealth
Yeah.
bucket, which is obviously
Yeah.
important, but so what would you say, what would you define your definition of success is today?
I think you hear a lot of people say balance, right? I
Yeah.
don't think there's such thing as having balance. I think you create the balance you want.
Right.
When you're running hard and you're wired like I am, you're always looking to, how can I do better all the time, right? What's the next goal? And you're always constantly setting new goals. So for me, success is creating goals and reaching them, eventually. Like I've set a goal now 3 years in a row, and hopefully this year is the year that we're going to do it, right? And I'm saying, hey, this year we're going to hit that goal, we're going to hit that goal. But I'm constantly resetting my goals. But if there's anything to be said about balance, and the analogy you just used is having multiple buckets, right? Whereas
Mm.
success before for me was strictly about what's in my bank account, right? How many deals can I close? How much profit can I make? And that was success, right? But sometimes that, is not the right focus to have. And you lose focus on things like family, on health, on, things that you should be doing, to have more of a balance, right? And to keep your mind clear. Like now I find myself, I have way more time. My profit has gone up, so that's great. We consider that a success.
Yeah.
Then my health, I now get to go to the gym as much as I want. I golf 3 times a week, right? Which is the golf is, not even the exercise part, but you can consider it exercise, but golf for me is more of a winding down and relaxing.
Stress relief.
Mind you, some of my buddies that play with me might not say I'm overly relaxed. I'm not, but it's helped me really slow my mind down and just focus, right? Like I remember years ago, I'd watch somebody, warm up to hit a ball or whatever, and it would drive me nuts. I'm like, hurry up, let's go. Like we got what's taking you so long? Why do you have to take 3 warm-up shots? Like this is like, just ball and let's go, right? Now I actually find it soothing to just sit there watching somebody set up for a shot and then make a nice shot. And I just find it very relaxing, right? So that's something that has helped my stress level go way down. And I've had to do that for my own personal health, right? So, and obviously we get to spend way more time with family now and traveling and doing things together, with my wife and my kids. And so that's important. That's what's really important. And we learned a lesson many years ago that, all the stuff in the world, you can have all the stuff in the world, but it doesn't mean anything if you lose your family over it. Right. And that's a valuable lesson that we got early on.
No, for sure. I think, in some notes you sent over, you've been happily married for 30 years now.
30 years. Yeah. I'm a minority, I think. Yeah. And 3 amazing kids. 2 of them are now in the business with us, and Patrick and Brandon. Patrick being the oldest that you've met, and Brandon just got his license, and then Chantal, my daughter, is still at university and doing great. So we're very fortunate.
Awesome. Yeah. And again, Andre was saying how well Pat's doing this year, so that's awesome to hear.
Killing it. Again, hard worker, and took in all the coaching, from EXP, and has learned a lot from it, and has done really well with it, right? And he's managed to build himself a nice little organization with, almost 100 agents in his on his team now, and he's managed to save a bunch of money in stocks, which is cool. So, it'll be interesting to see where he's at in 10 years, right?
Yeah. Wow. That's it. He's got it all ahead of him. That's phenomenal. Yeah.
I wish I would have had this 10 years ago.
Well, yeah, me too. Yeah.
We'd be having this conversation on the beach in Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Well, I guess that would have been your one piece of advice maybe 10 years ago to yourself.
Yeah.
Well, we're not even, is it even, it's 13 years. It's 2009, wasn't it? EXP started, wasn't it?
That's right.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a year I moved to
I wish I would have started earlier, for sure. Yeah. Any advice to myself would have been, starting this model a lot earlier, right? So I see the young kids getting in now, and they've got some very bright futures ahead of them because of, what we offer, and that's exciting. So hopefully it's around for a long time.
Yeah, I have my 14-year-old daughter is very showing signs of wanting to do real estate. I think she likes the money, so she's been. So I was thinking, and she wants to do it in Hawaii, which I was like, that's you go for it. But the goal of the company is to get to some crazy number of agents across the globe. So anything's possible, even for sort of kids that age, if they may be aspiring to get into an industry.
Absolutely.
No, it's good. It's good stuff. So, all the success, I'm sure it's not been it's not been successful the whole journey. What would you say, one of the biggest obstacles that you've kind of had to overcome in your journey to where you are now? What was it, and how did you get over it?
You know what? As far as an obstacle goes, my biggest stress in my career was not the work, right? My biggest stress was being at the office at 9 or 10 o'clock at night and knowing that my family was at home and my wife was, my stress was, is she getting upset because I'm at work, right? And that's what made me stress. And that's what made me work faster and harder so that I could get home quicker. But in the beginning, when you're on your own, you're doing everything yourself, right? And I was the secretary, I was the inside sales agent, I was the person doing the showings. There's I think we have a list in the office here somewhere where there's like over 80 items that take place from the time you list a house to the time you sell a house. And that's a checklist that we follow. Well, when you're doing all that by yourself, man, that's nerve-wracking, right? So that was the biggest thing. So the biggest thing I had to overcome was trying to do it myself all the time, and thinking that there was nobody else good enough to help me, right? And then eventually I got to a point where somebody convinced me, you need to hire an assistant, right? So we hired an assistant and my business doubled. So now I was like, oh my God, now I'm working even more, right? So then we had to hire a buyer's agent. Then we grew again. Then we hired 2. Then we hired 3. Then we hired 4. And the next thing you know, we had 6, and we were doing crazy numbers, but still overlooking the whole thing. So I think I've had to learn to really surround myself with really good people. And right now we have, I'm so fortunate to have the partners that I have within my office here helping me run this ship. And, there's some amazing leaders that I'm working with, and it's because of them that we're doing well.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. So like right back to the point where you needed to hire an assistant, did you struggle with that decision for a while, thinking, oh no, I how could I possibly like tell someone everything that I need to do? Did you go through all that kind of?
Well, yeah, because I think it's the unknown, right? You don't know what you're doing. Like, how am I even going to train this person when I don't even know how, like, what I'm going to train them on? Like, I can't teach them how to do everything I do. There's no way, right? But what I learned was to, have those A, B, C, D activities, and then, delegate all the C and D activities that that were not making me money. All the stuff I hated to do, I delegated it, right? And that was a coach. I had a coach, way back in the day. Everybody, knows Craig Proctor. He was my coach. And it was one of the first things he said: get yourself an assistant and delegate all the crap. Everything that you don't want to touch and you're not happy when you're doing it, give it away. So we finally did that. But then again, it's hard to find somebody that's good too, right? Because the problem is when you're hiring an assistant, you want them to be your marketing person, your social media person. You want them to be good at inside sales and dealing with clients. And then you also want them to be really, really good at admin work. Well, try finding somebody that can do all those things, right? They're usually really good at 1 or 2 of them, but not usually good at all 4 or 5. So you get let down again. Right.
Yeah.
So now we're at a point now where we have somebody who runs the office. Sharker, runs our office for us. She does all the, kind of admin, overlooks everything for our agents. And then we have 2 people in the marketing department that look after 2 different things. And that's it. Right. So, for the amount of deals we do, we only have, 3 staff, and then we have somebody on, kind of backup. So when we have overflow, she helps with that. So we're very, very lucky to have people that are so good and efficient, but definitely makes your life a lot easier when you decide to finally give it up, right? Because we all have the egos, right? Oh, nobody's going to do it as well as me.
Yeah, no, totally.
Right. I remember giving away my first showing and I was like, oh, they're going to mess it up. This isn't going to go well. They're not going to close the deal. And, eventually you got to learn that, some people are better at things than you are. And that's what I learned real quick I was not good at admin work, and I found somebody who was, and made my life a lot easier. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's ego gets in the way, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Always.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really interesting, because I'm sure, there's a ton of people sitting out there thinking exactly that right now, needing to make that step. And, including myself, I'm actually going through the process of finding an assistant right now. So, but I struggled for weeks, like exactly what you said. They're not going to be as good as I can do it, or they can't do this and they can't do that. And
pull the trigger, just get her done, do it.
Absolutely.
Do the best thing you ever did, and then you'll be relieved, and then your business will grow, and you'll be happy that you did it for sure.
Cool. All right, Pierre. I'm just going to get into some quick fire stuff now as we're getting to the end. Before I get into that, actually, if there's a way people could get hold of you, is there a preference? Would you like to push people to we've got your number here, so if anyone wants to give you a call, they can do that.
Everybody can call me, or if they follow me on Instagram, Pierre Nadeau _ is my address there. And then obviously I'm on Facebook a lot as well. So I'm the older generation, so I still have Facebook. I'm starting to learn to use Instagram, so go in there and follow me on Instagram. And yeah.
Cool. All right. So, are you a reader? Do you read?
You know what? I listen.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a
Yeah.
big reader, but I did recently just read an amazing book, and it's called The Power of One More, and it's really really good. So, but I do a lot of audiobooks. So when I'm driving, I've usually got some type of audiobook or podcast. Ed Milet is one of my favorites. Obviously, Grant Cardone's always a fun listen as well. But Ed Milet's been my number one go-to lately.
The Power of One More. That's by Ed Milet, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I've just put that onto my Kindle actually. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Is it
amazing.
good?
I think it's available in audio now, or else I would have got it. I'll tell you, I watched a podcast. I listened to a podcast and watched a video of him talking about that book. And I remember being in the gym that morning, and I was like, oh my God, I was so fired up by the time I was done listening to this guy. I went back to the office and I ordered like 50 of his books, and then I just started hearing about to all of our agents, and now I'm giving out as gifts. And it was just such a good message and such a good book that it's definitely worth the read for sure. Yep.
Yeah. I'll have to get onto that.
You got some
Music.
competition. I think he's got the number one podcast in the world now. So
Yeah.
he's doing something right for sure.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Music. Do you listen to music?
Yeah, absolutely. I love it all. I love
your
pretty much
favorite?
everything. Zach Brown, I think, would be my favorite.
Zach Brown.
Yeah, Low Country.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not a country person, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty eclectic myself. But yeah, country's
Yeah.
I'm not familiar. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Favorite routine? Do you have a favorite routine?
Yeah, I think my favorite routine is golf. I mean, I'm pretty stuck in my ways unless I'm traveling, but
Right.
my routine is usually pretty much the same every day. I go to the gym first thing in the morning, and then that's kind of like my go-to feel good now. And I listen to a podcast while I'm in there, and that's kind of like that's how the day starts, and then off to the office after that.
Awesome. So we're gonna have a round of golf in Vegas this year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That was fun. I'm absolutely rubbish at golf, but I really enjoyed playing with you guys last year. Yeah. No,
Absolutely.
it was a good afternoon.
Anytime you
really
can write off golf, it's a good day.
Yeah, absolutely. So all right. So you said they're going to the gym in the morning. Is that forming into a bit of a habit for you?
Yeah, I think I used to try to go in the afternoons or in the evening, but it doesn't give me the same energy.
Right.
Now when I go in the morning, I don't know, it's just that mindset too, right? So now that I'm listening to something positive in the morning, it's really, really good. And then, man, it's hard to get my ass out of bed in the morning. That's probably one of the hardest things I do. And you should hear the self-talk going on in the morning, right? Get your fat ass out of bed, get going. You're going to die. If you lay here, you don't go to the gym, you're going to die. So get up, get going, right? So I just go, I get up and I go. And we're very fortunate, there's a gym right near our house, and it's
Cool.
beautiful. And there's not usually a lot of people there. So I get to go in and have a workout. And now my son's been coming as well, occasionally with us. And so that's fun. And just listen to some positive stuff, and then it just sets my day off. It makes your day so much better, right? You get so much more energy. So yeah, I try to keep that up as much as I can.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good habit.
Yeah.
And is there a habit that you find incredibly hard to maintain? A habit that you wish maybe you should do, but you you don't?
Probably wouldn't have to go to the gym as much if I could figure this one out. Eating my sweets, right? Like, oh, man. Like I wish I could knock that habit, but I love my sweets, so got to kick that one real soon. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. All right, Pierre. Well, it's been really, really great chatting to you again. Thanks for your time today. It looks like your success is continuing from the last 20 years, especially with the growth of your team now here in Canada. Almost at 500. That's phenomenal. And yeah, thanks again. And I really look forward to catching up with you and the guys, hopefully next month in Vegas for some shenanigans.
Can't wait. Can't wait. Hey, Phil, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. And you're a great guy, and you're doing great things. And keep up the good work. And we'll see you at the top.
Yeah, see you at the top.